It's a new year, a new look, and a new hope on today's Unnamed Real Estate Podcast. Oh, this is going to be a fun year, can't you tell? My name's Charles Ray Dawson. I am a sales manager and associate broker here at ProStar Realty. This is episode 49 in the Unnamed Real Estate Podcast and the first broadcast of this year. So today, when I'm recording this, is January the 5th. I'm trying to get everything done a little bit early this week and get it scheduled to upload and everything on YouTube. And so I've been doing my homework, reading my articles, because I promised you guys last week that I was going to give you my predictions for the new year 2022 when it comes to real estate. Right. Nobody called, I think, Betty White, and that was really, of all the people we lost at the last of the year and whatnot, that one was probably the most shocking. So you just have to sit there and take a little pause. So if you have some spare time and if you want to really look at what she has done, go on YouTube. I will find it and link it in the show notes below so you don't have to do that much research. But there is an entire little skit she did on the Golden Girls talking about the Great Herring War. And it is pretty damn funny. I've watched it like 3 times and I'm laughing every time, even though I know the lines that are coming in. She was just exceptional at that deadpan dry comedy, and it's just amazing to watch. And we were, a couple of years ago, I had this little thought of who is stepping up there to replace these really great musicians and actors and comedians. And I really, if you got somebody out there who's like an up and comer and you really think they're going to be the next Betty White, or anybody else you really think is going to last the years, and that is important. I was sitting there trying to explain to somebody the other day, it's like, how many movies from the 80s can you still quote? And everybody, even if they weren't alive in the 80s, knows that line, right? I feel the need. It's the need for speed, right? I don't see movies. I don't see music. There's another really great channel that I waste too much time on called The Professor of Rock. And all he does is he just reviews the stories of great rock and roll music and the stories behind the songs. And he got called out a couple months ago by a bunch of people going, "Hey man, why do you keep talking about all this old music? The new music's great. Why don't you share any of our new music like Cardi B?" So what he does is once a week he will sit there and say, "This is the top 5 songs of 1985. Bam. Of this week in 1985. And then he turns around and goes, "Oh, and this is the top 5 songs this week today." All right. And it is a night and day comparison. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, Professor Rock, show notes below. Take a listen, and you will learn stuff, and you'll really come to the conclusion that modern music sucks. Don't believe me? Turn on the radio in your car. And realize why. When the last time you actually turned on the radio in your car and you weren't listening to your MP3 player or your own CD? It's because broadcast music sucks. All right, so let's get on to things that I do know about. Real estate in 2022. Most of the time when you go out there and you read these articles about, projections, they're always talking at it from a national level, right? So this is what's going to happen in the nation. And when they're talking the nation, it's an aggregate of all the data. So we're talking Gary, Indiana, all right, and Scottsdale, Arizona, lumped into one big pile. And we all know it's real estate, all right? And real estate is location, 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 all right? So what you hear on the CNNs and the MSNBCs and the Fox News and the CBSs and all that other stuff, unless they're specifically going, "Oh my God, look what the hell is happening in Maricopa County," has nothing to do with you. It honestly doesn't. That's why you need to find local sources for these news. But you can still look at the national stuff to get sort of like an overall trend. All right. What do they think is going to happen nationally? Because things like mortgage rates pretty much happen nationally. Insurance rates pretty much happen nationally. A lumber shortage pretty much happens nationally. Energy prices, even though they are localized, and I just talked to a lady from Minnesota today, and she was saying that she's paying $3.10 a gallon. It feels like she's getting ripped off, and I haven't seen $3.10 a gallon since I think last June. And I explained that to her. So, but those energy prices still push down for making the materials that goes in the houses, transporting those materials to the job site, and these are all going to have impacts. So, if you're sitting there and you're going to start, doing it, I'd say maybe 25% look at what's going on nationally, 75% you want to look at the local numbers, and that's why I have this podcast with my grand total of 16, 17 subscribers, and maybe the 7 or 8 people who actually watch this episode. Not bitter. That's a hell of a lot more than I started out with. All right. So the Realtor.com does their projections and their housing forecasts. And they're thinking overall national median sales price is going to go up about 2.9%. They're thinking existing home sales are going to go up. Everybody thinks the housing starts is going to go up. Builders are going to be building more. And home ownership rate is actually expected to go up a little bit as more people transition to housing. Not a lot of information here that we can use off of this article. Couple little highlights here. They are expecting national rent growth to go up, and pretty much I don't think anybody out there is saying nationally rents are going to go down. And like a gentleman once said, the rent is too damn high. And there's a reason for that. It's because we do not have enough houses or apartments or condos or trailers. And one thing we do have going for us is we got more vans down by the river. They actually make vans that you can buy now to go live down by the river. They cost you about $45,000, right? Which is still cheaper than your average condo here in Phoenix. They are projecting a sales growth in Scottsdale Mesa's Phoenix area of being about 7.5% and prices to go up 6.8%. That's what I think about Realtor.com. Another one came in was Fortune article. Fortune.com. And they are projecting that, and what they did is they went out there and they talked to 7 different authors or 7 different organizations, got their individual, and then threw all 7 up for you. And they go from Zillow. Do I have to comment? Zillow saying the forecast growth will be about 13.6%. CoreLogic, S&P, Case-Shiller Home Report, they're thinking a forecast growth of only 3%. And there was one number in here that sort of struck me as odd. The Mortgage Bankers Association forecast, which is a group I've never heard of before until I read this article. They actually think housing prices nationally are going to go down by 2.5%. And they're basing that primarily on they expect interest rates to go up. Now, we're going to be discussing interest rates here shortly because I think that's going to have a major driver about what's going to happen on next week. So, there's Forbes. I went to a couple local sites, and of course you always find the clickbait articles. And when you see a headline like this, is a housing crash on the way in 2020, I am sure as hell going to read that article for you guys. And it does boil down to pretty much it's clickbait. They got a couple people out there that they could say relatively doom and gloom things. Couple real estate agents who are supposedly major real estate players here in the Valley that I've never heard of before. They talked to a couple designated brokers, all right, and it's classic clickbait, all right. Everybody that they interview on this thing, they say like this or it could be that, and the author just went with the bad and ran with that too. So that's my research for today. Okay. But looking at in between the lines, looking at other articles, I've come up with my own what I project is coming out. All right, and I want to mark this. All right, so it is January the 5th. I'm making one of my famous Cassandra prophet prophecies here. So let's start at the top. Right, I do think interest rates ultimately are going to wind up about 4% at the end of the year. This is based primarily on the inflation rate. And they need to start pulling money out of the economy to try to get rid of this inflation that we got going on. We finally hit this point here a couple months ago where the same people who were saying, oh no, this is transitory, this isn't real inflation, we're not going to have inflation, this is just a temporary blip, have suddenly flipped around and go, hey, maybe that's not so temporary. You just cannot loan money out for less than the rate of inflation. Sooner or later, this is going to have to start coming up. And the feds can control a large chunk on this, but at a certain point, it's the individual lenders, the people who have their own money who are putting it out. They're not going to put their money out there in any kind of loan unless they, think they're going to be getting better than inflation. So you're going to start watching the rates tick up. We were at 3.05 at the end of last year, in the last episode that I recorded on. I'm not saying this thing's going to go through a roof, but I think the days of the threes are just about over. All right, and so I project us looking at about a 4% interest rate at the end of this year. Now, when we come to the next topic, all right, the growth in median price. All right, I have seen, like I said, nationally we had 2.5 under being projected by one people. We have other people saying that it's up as 13. Remember, we're Phoenix, right? We're Maricopa County. We're always trending higher than the rest of the nation, right? We ended last year at about 24%. That's huge, 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 huge. You saw that in last week's episode when I was showing you how much we've gone up in the median home price. I don't think we're going to see another 2021, but I think we're going to be a little bit closer to the way we were looking at 2019. 2018, all right. Remember, we're still looking at the exact same mechanisms that we've been seeing over those years. It's just been a little bit worse, right? People are leaving the blue states and coming to Arizona. It's not just retirees anymore. Companies are moving here. Companies cannot afford to do business in California, Chicago, New York, Washington, all right, and they are relocating. A lot of them are going to Texas. A lot of them going to Florida. All right. Utah, Idaho, and Arizona is definitely on that list. People are going to be moving here, and they're going to be bringing their East Coast and West Coast money from the sales of their properties, and they're going to be coming out here and realizing they get a much, much bigger house for a lot less than they were paying for originally. That's the major growth that we have going on. All right. Price is also going to be pushed up because 4%, even at 4% interest rate, it's still incredibly low historically. Right. We're going to start seeing that slow up. That's why I'm not saying we're going to see another 24. All right, but I can definitely say we're going to see a 12. Right. So let's see how this little prophecy comes on. Now, when we have growth in median price of 12%, that means that our average median or our median home price should end the year at about $480,000 plus. All right, so, but this is a number I'm calculating in. All right, I'm going to say, all right, my projection at the end of this year, 2022, the median home price is going to be about $480,000. This is not going to see us the big growth that we saw in 2020 or in 2021, but this is going to add on to it. Right? Remember, this always compounds. Right? If you got 24% growth in 2021 and you add another 12, all right. It just keeps going up. It's compound interest. Look it up. It's the most powerful thing in the universe. Now, even with house pricing going up, all right, we're still the one thing that the number that people are not paying attention to, that I think more people need to be paying attention to, all right, is actual transactions. All right, as we covered last week, all right, we're averaging about 5,000, and we just popped over 100,000 transactions. That's a house being bought and sold. All right, it's considered one transaction. All right, and if the person who sells one house buys another house, that's two transactions. All right, we're going to have. I'm projecting we're going to continue on that slope at about a 5% in sales. The only thing that's going to hold us back is inventory, but we are going to see more houses being built, new builds. They're going to get sold. Right. That means people are, that's considered a transaction. And the one wild card in this number is I want to see what the iBuyers do. Your Open Doors, your Redfins, used to be Zillow, those guys. Because remember, they're flippers, basically. All right. They're wholesalers at worst, flippers at best. They are buying a house from a seller and then turn around and reselling it. All right, that actually takes that one house and turns it into 2 different transactions. It doesn't add anything to inventory ultimately. It just delays the ultimate transfer because they get in there and they take their little, $20,000, $30,000 worth of profit off the top, bam, and they're off to the races. All right, but it's going to make this count as 2 transactions instead of just 1 transaction. All right, so if I'm short on this, all right, if I'm low, all right, and if I miss this number low, it's because those iBuyers have gone in there, picked up more of the market, churning it a little bit more, and it will push this number higher. What this means to you as a buyer is, even though you feel like you were in a bidding war, because there's still a lot more buyers out there and we're still looking, all right, our multiple offer deals actually dropped from like 75%, which was a high in April. In October, they were down into the 60s, all right, and we definitely slowed down in November, December, with the holidays. I'm expecting to see that come back up, all right, because we still have a lot of buyers out there. A lot of them are those that millennial cohort that I was talking about earlier on in the year. All right, the people who are coming in, and they will be continuing, that little glut of millennials who are hitting their prime buying age, all right, are going to be continuing on through 2023. And I think that's going to push both the sales numbers and everything else, keep it up. So wrapping up, all right, I expect to see an interest rate of 4% by the end of the year. I expect to see growth in median prices going up to 12%, which is going to put the median home price at $480,000 plus. All right, I expect to see our continual 5% growth in sales year over year. All right, and we should be ending right about 110,250 transactions. So, and how do you talk about the future unless you talk about the now? So today's numbers, January 5th, 2022. Active listings starting off the year are 5,655, which is down 225 from last week. Our new listings were 1,320, which is up 418. These are the new listings coming out at the beginning of the year. Our contracts looking for a backup are at 680, which is up 164 from last week. Our pendings are 1,387, up 199 as the new buyers started looking after Christmas. Our contracts for the buyer's contingency are 45, which is down 2, still showing low because with a tighter market, sellers do not have to accept an offer with a buyer contingency on them. Our closings last week were 2,127, which is 448 above the week before that, and showing all those houses that were getting snuck in there either at the beginning of the year or just after Christmas. And coming soon is 544 new listings, and this is the start of the wave we're going to start seeing. In January is always our hottest month for new listings, and this is them coming in. Be really interesting to see in a year from now what's going on and how much how close I was, how far off I was. Next week we are going to I got Tina coming in on Monday. I'm going to be sitting watching her, seeing what's going on with what she has to say. We got also have a sales meeting here at the office. We're rolling out some new stuff that I might tell you about. It's mostly behind the scenes, inside baseball kind of stuff, but I'll definitely get the Tina numbers. We'll have a Cromford reports. If she does year projections, I will definitely snag all of those and give you what Tina says, and then we could see at the end of the year which one of us was right. It'll probably be her, honestly. Other than that, I hope you guys are enjoying the new year. I hope you guys enjoy the new graphics. These graphics that I got were actually a gift from one of my viewers and a client of mine. And this was like a impromptu Christmas gift from her. And I really enjoyed redoing all my graphics, getting away from that light green, which I really liked when I got started. And it just, even I was getting bored with that light green color as the background and everything. But going to keep the music. Going to keep going with that, gotten off the new fonts and everything. And just, I really appreciate the gift. Thank you very much, ma'am. And I hope you get to keep watching so you can keep seeing your gift pay dividends. You guys have a really great weekend. I hope nobody had any bad things over the holidays and whatnot. And we are into the new year. Of course, you can always get a hold of me. And if you're projecting anything out real estate-wise, or you know who anybody is, if it's not me, it's one of my agents. Thank you very much. You guys have a great weekend.